This is a chilling new layer in the murder mystery that's shaken an Ohio community. A well-known Columbus dentist and his wife found shot to death in their home, and now investigators are piecing together a disturbing timeline.
December 30th, 2025. A dentist doesn't show up to work. Now, I know what you're thinking. Maybe he's sick, maybe there's traffic, maybe he overslept. But Spencer Tepe wasn't that kind of guy. He was reliable, the kind of person who showed up no matter what. So when his colleagues at the Athens Dental Depot couldn't reach him, they knew something was wrong. They called 911. What police found inside Spencer's Columbus home that day would shake this community to its core. Two bodies. Spencer, 37 years old, and his wife Monique, 39, both shot dead on the second floor of their home. And here's the part that'll make your heart stop. Their two babies, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, were found safe inside the house. Can you even imagine? These kids were in that home while their parents were murdered. Before we go any further, if you're into true crime stories that dig deep into psychology behind these cases, you need to hit that subscribe button right now, like this video, and smash that bell icon so you never miss an update from Shadow Crime. Trust me, this case gets darker the more we uncover. Let's talk about who Spencer and Monique really were, because these weren't just random victims. Spencer was a dentist who drove 75 miles from Columbus to Athens every day for work. That's dedication. That's a man who cared about his patients, who showed up for people. And Monique, she had a background in childhood education. She loved kids, which makes sense when you see how devoted she was to her own two little ones. But here's what really gets me. Monique had been through hell before she found Spencer. During their wedding vows back in January 2021, she talked about enduring countless bad dates and wrong relationships. She said she'd been through so much before finally finding the right person. Spencer was her fresh start. He was her safe place. They built a life together, had two beautiful kids, and by all accounts, they were happy. So who would want to destroy that? Who would creep into their home in the early hours of the morning, between 2 and 5 a.m., and execute them both? Because that's what this was, an execution. Police found 3 9mm shell casings at the scene. There was no forced entry, which tells us something crucial. Whoever did this either had a key, or the Tepes knew them well enough to let them in. Think about that for a second. In the middle of the night, would you open your door for a stranger? The investigation moved fast. Security footage from the neighborhood showed something chilling. A person wearing light-colored pants and a dark hooded jacket, walking through an alley right next to the Tepe home during the estimated time of the murders.
This is a chilling new layer in the murder mystery that's shaken an Ohio community. A well-known Columbus dentist and his wife found shot to death in their home, and now investigators are piecing together a disturbing timeline. Newly released 911 calls and body camera footage revealing what happened in the days leading up into those killings. This morning, new details in the murder mystery of an Ohio dentist and his wife in their Columbus home over the holidays. ABC News obtaining this 911 call made by a neighbor of Dr. Spencer Tepe and his wife Monique less than 2 weeks before the murders, and during the same time frame police believe they were killed.
Somebody's knocking on my door. I think they're trying to get in.
Do you know who this is?
No, I'm scared.
11 days later, the Tepes were found shot to death. Police releasing this surveillance video of a person of interest who was seen in an alley near their residence between the hours of 2 and 5 a.m. when they believe the murders happened. Police telling ABC News they have no indication that the neighbor's 911 call is connected to the Tepe investigation. And Columbus police also releasing this new body camera video showing one of their officers going to the wrong address after Dr. Tepe's boss called authorities asking for a wellness check when he didn't show up to work that morning.
He is always on time, and this is very out of character. And we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
Columbus Police Chief Elaine Bryant telling our affiliate WSYX,
"We did receive a call for a wellness check. I think it was around 9:03 a.m. That officer unfortunately went to the wrong location.
Police say 40 minutes later, they received another wellness call, a concerned friend showing up to the Tepe house, making the grim discovery.
There's a body. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood.
Now, Columbus Police Chief Elaine Bryant was asked if this was a targeted attack, and she refrained from calling it that, saying they don't even have a suspect yet, and they're still piecing this crime together. But she says her department is turning over every stone and stressing to the community that any tip or any information is welcomed and could break this case wide open, guys.
And really wild story. Ike, thank you so much.
Police also found something else on that security footage, a vehicle. And when they ran the plates and dug into who owned it, the case took a turn nobody saw coming. The vehicle belonged to a man named Michael David McKee, a 39-year-old vascular surgeon from Chicago, successful, educated, living in Illinois, working at a hospital in Rockford. But here's where your jaw should drop. Michael McKee was Monique's ex-husband. Now, you might be thinking, okay, messy divorce, maybe some lingering bad blood. But get this. They divorced in 2017, 8 years before these murders happened. 8 years. Most people move on in that time. They build new lives, find new partners, maybe even forget about their exes altogether. But not Michael McKee. Let me paint you a picture of their relationship, because it's important. Michael and Monique got married back in 2015. Sounds normal enough, right? But they only lived together for 7 months. 7 months before Monique realized she needed to get out. Family members later said that Michael was emotionally abusive, that the marriage was toxic from the start. They officially divorced in 2017, citing incompatibility, which is usually code for we can't stand each other, but we're keeping it polite for courts. But here's what really haunts me. Monique's brother-in-law came forward after the murders and said something that should have been a red flag years ago. He said Monique would often talk about how terrified she was of Michael. Not just uncomfortable, not just anxious, terrified. She told her family that McKee had affected her mental health so badly that even years after their divorce, she was still dealing with the trauma. Can you imagine living with that kind of fear? You escape a bad marriage. You try to rebuild your life. You find genuine love and happiness with someone new. And you're still looking over your shoulder because of someone from your past. And yet, despite that fear, Monique managed to create something beautiful. She married Spencer in 2021. They had 2 kids. She was living the life she'd always wanted. But Michael McKee's vehicle showing up near her home on the night she and her new husband were murdered, that's not a coincidence. That's a nightmare coming true.
That today, for the first time, we are hearing from a close friend of Spencer and Monique Tepe, who says she knew from the beginning who would be arrested in the couple's deaths.
Spencer and Monique Tepe were found shot to death in their Wineland Park home on December 30th. Their 2 children were inside at the time, but were not physically harmed. Police say there were no signs of forced entry.
Monique's ex-husband, Michael McKee, is accused of killing the couple. In a story you'll see only on 10 TV, friends tell Lacey Crisp why they suspected McKee from the start. Lacey.
Well, Gina Spinelli tells me this house is the place where memories were made, and now it's a nightmare.
If you knew Monique, you knew this was what happened to her.
Gina Spinelli has been friends with Spencer and Monique Tepe for years and says Mo's smile would light up a room. She explained Mo felt grateful for having Spencer after such a hard first marriage to Michael McKee.
She never called it, I didn't even know his name. She never said Michael. She said my ex. She said he was bad. She said abusive. I don't think I ever got the impression that she was afraid of him. I got the impression that she hated him and that she knew things were bad there, and I don't think it ever fully left her mind. I don't think anyone thought that this was going to happen. I also don't think that she ever thought he would leave her alone for the rest of her life.
Columbus police said there weren't any reports filed regarding abuse or a request for a restraining order against McKee. When Spinelli got the call with the devastating news that 2 of her dear friends had been killed inside their home, she only thought of one person, the person police arrested Saturday and charged Sunday with premeditated murder.
Do you have any idea why now, after all of these years, that he's accused of doing this heinous act?
I think it's just because everything you see the wedding video, everything that people see is who they really were. And they were so perfect and they were so wonderful. And I think he couldn't live with it. I think he could not fathom her happiness, and she was so happy.
Spinelli tells me she was at their celebration of life services. She says it was heartwarming to hear so many wonderful stories about her dear friends.
Lacey, you have been on this story since day one, and we've heard so much about the couple's children, just 1 and 4 years old. They were in the house when their parents were killed. They weren't hurt, thankfully, but I think a lot of people are wondering tonight, how are those kids doing?
Yeah, so they're now living with family members, but Spinelli tells me they now have an army of aunts and uncles who will forever.
On January 11th, 2026, just 12 days after the murders, police arrested Michael McKee at his home in Rockford, Illinois, and what they found there sealed his fate. Multiple firearms were seized from his property. Now, investigators ran these guns through something called the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. It's basically a database that matches bullets and shell casings to specific weapons. And guess what? One of McKee's guns was a preliminary match to those 3.9mm shell casings found at the crime scene. But wait, it gets even more calculated. The indictment revealed that McKee used a weapon equipped with a silencer. A silencer. Think about what that means. This wasn't a crime of passion, where someone loses control in a moment of rage. This was planned. Methodical. He drove from Illinois to Ohio, brought a gun with suppressor, so the neighbors wouldn't hear, and executed 2 people while their babies slept nearby. That level of premeditation is bone-chilling. McKee was indicted on 4 counts of aggravated murder. 2 of those counts specifically mention prior calculation and design, which is legal language for premeditated. The other 2 counts are for murders committed during an aggravated burglary. Because remember, there was no forced entry. He either had access to that house or convinced them to let him in. He also got hit with firearm specifications, including an extra 6 years just for using that silencer. If convicted, he's looking at life in prison without parole. Now here's a detail that's so strange, it almost feels like something out of a horror movie. In June 2025, just 6 months before the murders, the divorce case between Monique and Michael was mysteriously reopened. A trial date was even set for September. But court officials later said it was just a clerical error with the docket number. The case was closed again. Was it really just an error? Or did something else happen that we don't know about yet? Because the timing feels too weird to ignore. McKee waived his extradition hearing. He's sitting in an Illinois jail right now, waiting to be transported to Ohio to face these charges. His public defender says he plans to plead not guilty, but the evidence is stacking up against him. The ballistics match, his vehicle near the scene, the silencer, the history of abuse.
A police cruiser sat outside of Michael McKee's home here in Lincoln Park for hours after he was arrested in Rockford, accused of killing his ex-wife and her husband over the holidays. We spoke to some of his neighbors, stunned by the allegations.
He did not seem like somebody that would do something like this.
Sudden shock inside this luxury condominium building in Lincoln Park.
That's him. Following
a multi-state search for an alleged killer.
I sat down with this man and talked to him up at the pool, barbecuing. It's kind of shocking.
Geraldine Coleric's neighbor, Michael McKee, now charged with the murders of his ex-wife, Monique Tepe, and her dentist husband, Spencer Tepe. Police say the couple was discovered shot to death in their Columbus home on December 30th, with their 2 young children found safe inside.
I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in. There's a body. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood.
According to court records obtained by our affiliate station in Columbus, WSYX, Monique and McKee divorced in 2017. Those same documents state detectives were able to identify McKee as a suspect through neighborhood surveillance and tracked his vehicle down in Rockford Saturday, where he was taken into custody. The Tepe family saying in a statement in part, quote, "Today's arrest represents an important step toward justice for Monique and Spencer. Nothing can undo the devastating loss of 2 lives taken far too soon."
And how do you explain to a child that mom and dad are here one day and gone the next? Those are the real victims of this whole case here, are the children.
Tonight, McKee is being held in a Winnebago County jail, and he's due in court on Monday. In Lincoln Park, I'm Trey Ward, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
So let me ask you something. And I really want you to think about this. What kind of hatred festers inside someone for 8 years? What kind of rage doesn't fade with time, but instead grows stronger? Michael McKee moved on professionally. He had a career, a life in another state. But mentally, was he ever really free of Monique? Or was he obsessing over her happiness with someone else, watching from a distance as she built the life he thought she should have had with him? And here's the darker question. If Monique knew she was still in danger, if she talked about being terrified of him, why wasn't there more protection? Why do we as society wait until it's too late to take these fears seriously? If this case got under your skin like it did mine, do me a favor. Share this video. Let people know about Spencer and Monique. Keep their story alive. Subscribe to Shadow Crime for more deep dives into cases that make you question everything you thought you knew about human nature. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. Could this have been prevented? And what really drove Michael McKee to do this after all those years? I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.